Welcome, survivors, burnout community, and those just interested. It's Kelly Bubolz, trainer, author, speaker, and your burnout prevention mentor. Burnout is not taboo. It's our reality in this chaotic, fast-paced world. But we're not going to let it drive the narrative to our stories. We're going to do something about it. So let's dig in. Delegation was a very hard tool to learn during my burnout recovery, but a necessity. I found out you can't do it all. I found out sometimes you do have to ask for help and be okay with such help. But that tool was kind of a journey. You don't just pick it up and start using it. You don't wake up one day and know how to delegate. It took building trust, communication skills, understanding what the actual need and expectation was before I could even pass it on to another. It started with just identifying my not to-do list. So let me take you through this tool. Let me take you through the practicality in the workforce, at home, and how to use it, especially for those that are constantly overwhelmed. Especially for those that feel like they need to do it themselves so that it's done right. So it's done the way that they want. So let's start with the easy part of this tool. And that's my not to-do list. This is also in a blog if you visually want to see it. Go out to my website. Go check it out. The blog is free. Newsletter is free. And all these other tools offered on my website, such as the podcast, is free. Continue to check out these tools in forms of videos, audio, and worksheets to help you on this journey. So my not to-do list was a delegation tool that I had to create to visually get things out of my brain of what I was going to do and what I needed to pass on. I had to start to dissect all these duties as the high-performing leader, as the default parent, into other sectors of my life because I no longer could do everything. The not to-do list has a couple boxes in it. What you're going to do is you're going to list all your biggest distractions in the everything on my plate box. Everything in my plate, in my head right now, of stuff I have to do. Today, tomorrow, this week, maybe even this month if they're larger. And then I'm going to start categorizing them in other boxes to the right. The boxes to the right, there's 4 of them. Everything on my plate, you're going to put it into one of these 4 boxes. The first box is other people's responsibilities. This is more for the workforce. But what am I doing where my hands don't need to be in such pot? Sometimes when we feel out of control in our life, we like to be in control. And it's easier for our brain to do things that we know are easy. But maybe they're not our responsibility. Maybe it's someone else's work function, and we're doing it for them. Now, on an HR perspective, a third-party perspective on other departments, this makes people under-responsible, so you're actually doing them a disservice. So everything on your plate, what is actually someone else's responsibility that you just started doing, either recently or over time? Put those tasks in the first box. The next box is stuff that is out of my control. So many times we want to fix things that we have zero control over. We ruminate and anger ourselves over things that don't matter in our lives, don't affect our lives, or are completely out of control on how they affect our lives. And we spend all that wasted energy draining day over day in things that are out of your control. So those things on your plate that you're worrying about, that you think had to be done, but you have zero control over, I want you to put those in the second box, stuff that's out of your control. In the third box, it's those things that drain you, that don't energize you, that when you do them, you just feel blah. You feel like if I have to do this day after day, I am walking dead. It puts me in that zombie mode. So things on your plate that drain you, put in that third box. And then the fourth box is stuff that doesn't need to get done. I'm a busybody. I have productivity guilt on a massive scale. If I am not working, I feel useless. I feel lazy, even if I just need to rest, even if I've just worked all day. But there's some things that just don't need to be done. A common thing that comes up in program, even though it's so small, but a lot of people can relate to it, is folding blankets. And this is just an interesting story in multiple people's lives of how the blankets need to be folded on the couch. Time over time throughout the day, they refold blankets. And they get mad at other people when they don't fold such blankets. Exhausting. Do you feel the draining energy? So I asked them, why do these blankets need to be folded if they're just going to be used again? And they said, well, that's how I was raised. Because it makes the room look neat and organized. And I said, what about all the other things? All the decorations, all the toys, all the stuff. What if you would just remove some of those? Does a blanket that's not folded on the couch bother you as much? And again, we just want to get into that thought tank of why? Why does this bother me? Why do I have to do it? Why do I feel like I need to do it? Why do I feel the need that I can't even pass this on? And you will find that most of the things on your plate will fit in these other 4 boxes. Some of these tasks are other people's responsibilities. That some of these things are out of your control. Get them off your list. Some of these things are just draining. Someone is better off doing these. Someone actually might be thriving when they're doing it. Or maybe, like the blanket, it just doesn't need to be done. So I want you to create my not to-do list, and this will help with the delegation and sorting out these thoughts, realizing that everything that you need to do, you have to be that everything for everyone. You're doing all the tasks. Through this journal process, you will find out a lot of things on your plate were because you put them there. Ouch. A hard reality I also had to realize. So the first step of just being able to delegate is identifying your not to-do list. It will get you in a mindset to realize that plate doesn't have to be as full. Now, of course, there's going to be tasks and functions that are still on your plate. And that's where we get in the second half of this delegation tool. We want to identify maybe people or those around us that are suited for such tasks and just need to be trained. There were times I would get calls in the middle of the night for safety incidents in our manufacturing plants. As a HR professional, I was on the contact list, but I shouldn't have been first contact. The emergency vehicles should have been first contact. Why were they contacting me? It's 3 a.m. I just got done nursing my kid. I want to go to bed, and I'm getting these calls all night long. And I would answer them. I would not only answer the call, I would give them the answers of next steps. I would give them the answers of what to do until I get in the morning. What was I doing? I was grooming their behavior in an easy way for me to just give them answers instead of them being able and capable of critical thinking on their own. The best person that should have the answers is those present in those moments. Those who are visually seeing what's going on to make the decisions instead of someone on the phone, half sleeping, and definitely half zombie mode, answering those safety questions. So what I did was I started training supervisors in those critical thinking paths, in the process of when to send people to the medical facilities, when not to, who our first responders were, a process flow and steps in a sense of chaotic situations. Training others in these skills also gave them a sense of purpose, a sense of growth in their journey. I didn't realize by enabling this that I was actually disabling other people. I was delaying their journeys and what they were capable of. And do you know what happened? Is that didn't come back on my plate. Certainly there were safety things I had to deal with during office hours. But during those emergency situations, because people were trained to do so, they were capable to respond. I no longer got those calls at 3 a.m. Whew. The amount of relief when that came off my plate, knowing people are safe and okay in plants, that I am okay to sleep and everyone can be taken care of, is such a relief. Now, another factor that came into play was setting expectations. To be able to trust people after you train them, which means now they are capable, is setting that belief and dependability, is making sure that the expectations are clear of who is doing what, who owns what, and what step does it pass back to you. And when those expectations are clear, that trust can build. You start moving up the communication scale into rapport, in which you can depend on that person because it is very clear of what is on your plate and what is on theirs. Now, it may take a couple times to refresh because if you're like me, you have groomed behavior in other people that you'll take care of it for a very long time. So it may take a couple corrections to reset those expectations. But as you establish that trust, you will realize the people around you are capable. They're able to meet expectations, and they may even thrive with those tasks on their plate. It's important to check in often to see what's working, what's not. Maybe there's even someone else they suggest for such task. It's going to be important that you check in with yourself often to prove progress, that this time and effort that you switched away to others who are willing to help, others who are just as capable. It's important to check in on the progress of that so that you don't sling back to old behaviors, because those old behaviors and pipelines that we talk about often here on this podcast, they are strong. And if you don't reaffirm that this journey is moving in the right direction, it will put you right back in those old paths. So check in with yourself often, how much space you're getting back, how other people are thriving. This will continue to help you adapt and trust new people and continue to practice this delegation tool. Now, what's interesting is this seems like a lot of work. I have to journal my not to-do list. I have to start practicing trust with other people. I have to train other people. But it's short-term pain for long-term gain. Make it fun. See what they want to do. Support them on their growth journey. Make it a fun part. It's interesting when I did this with my children. They're fairly young, and as a parent, we think we have to do everything. And sometimes we do. But then as they grow older, we forget that they become capable and able to do such functions. So we start to make it fun. We allow them to choose their own clothes, pick their own shoes, do their own hair. Make it a fun part of this journey. Interestingly enough, scientists have discovered that it takes approximately 400 repetitions to create a new pipeline in the brain, a new way of doing things that you're comfortable with, unless it's done through play, through having fun, through this exploratory journey, in which case that 400 repetitions goes down to only 10 to 20. 10 to 20 times through play, through an experience with someone else that's fun. It will only take 10 to 20 repetitions versus 400. Certainly, if you've been on this journey with me on this podcast show a long time, following along, sharing it out to others so that they know that burnout, they're not alone. You know that we've been doing the work. But all this work is baby steps. All this work is just new tools we are exploring. So it doesn't seem like work because things are coming off our plate. It doesn't seem like work because we're finding out others are capable to support us, to help us. It doesn't seem like work because these new tools are bringing us back to energy and away from that zombie mode. I know you're not lazy. Most people in burnout are high performers, those serving others before themselves. Don't discount this step today, the action in which you focus on your self-growth. Piecing together the puzzle is half the journey. Rediscovering yourself, energy, and establishing new habits is the other. Do not underestimate the untapped inner strength inside you. Explore more resources on my website to move from zombie mode back to liveliness. See you soon.